Now thinking about sorting these filters out. These are the original ones. They are probably original from new, for the look of them. They're fairly had it really. They do want replacing. However, to buy them, and you need two of them, they're about 45 quid each. So what I'm thinking is, rather than just chuck them and buy some new ones, I think about replacing this with some filter foam. Once I take this off, I might have to put some support in here, although there is inside, you can see that in there is some mesh, so that may well be enough to support it. If not, I'll just have to put some strips down or rods or something just to keep the shape. I did originally think about using these cone filters, maybe cutting all this away and having that on the inside, but these are just too deep. They won't sit in the original case, and I want to keep it looking stock, even if internally it's not. So that'll be the thing to see how easily this will come to pieces. Basically, it's glued in here all the way around either side, so it might take some getting out, but yeah, we'll have a go at it anyway. And yeah, it doesn't really matter if I do mess it up, because it's just, well, you know, it's had it really, isn't it? You know, it's too far gone, it's too clogged up. I did blow it out but with the airline, but yeah, it's I don't think the engine will just breathe very well through that. Something in there really. This glue is quite good stuff, so it's probably fairly well. Might even be better to cut it actually, and then try and get the glue out. We'll see what's inside here in a minute. It's just basically mesh in there. It might even be enough to support it actually, once this all comes out. See how clogged up it is. The difference between that side and that side. Yeah, so I've just ordered a couple of sheets of foam filter material, which is dual layer. It's got a coarse mesh and a fine mesh. So hopefully it will work okay. And the other problem I've got is this is the battery airbox bit. So they basically push on there, that bit goes on there, and that links between the two filters. But one of the seals is not very good, and the other one is completely had it. And you can't get them anymore. So yeah, I'm going to have to come up with some way of either blocking these up. See the point of having a link pipe really doesn't make any difference. Yeah, so it's either block that up or find some other rubber seal, or maybe even cut the metal tube off and have a rubber tube between the two. That would be one way of doing it. But, probably might just be better to block that up. I can't see it really has any kind of function. It's supposed to be, if one filter blocks, the other one it'll still breathe through the other one, but really, if one filter is blocked, the other one is probably going to be pretty well gone also. So, yeah, stupid idea, I think. Right, well, that's that side clear. This side is a little bit harder to get into. Tough little stuff, whatever it is. Right, I'll turn the camera off and carry on doing this, get the rest of it off. At least the camera won't be in my way then. And I'll show you the result when it's all off. Right, I have managed to separate this into its component parts. Clean this up as best I can. Probably could do a bit more on that. Actually had to get some heat on it to get it to lift from the metal, and just used a wood chisel, really sharp blade on it to kind of chip it off. I could probably get some more off here, actually clean that up a bit more. And that's the rubber intake piece. So my original plan was to just use that, and this would have been the easiest solution. Just use that on there, a little bit of pipe in there with one of these cone filters, and like I say, the only problem is I can't seem to find any which are thin enough to allow that lid to go right back down, which is what I want to do. Yeah, I don't think you can really use it without this lid. Suppose you could cut a piece out if you wanted to do it that way, just where that bit is, or the other alternative would be a foam tube, you know, like motocross type filter on there. It's basically the reason I want to keep this set up is because it supports the rear of the carburetors. You know, you could just put these straight on the carburetors, but you've got no support at the rear then. Yeah, so what I need to do is put it all back together, however it went, like that, with some probably something like Sikaflex would hold it all together, and then wrap some you know, foam filter material around in there and find some way of holding it down. Don't really want to glue it on because I want to be able to take it off, and well, I suppose I could clean it on there, just rinse it through, wouldn't be a problem. Yeah, so that's all in its bits. The other one I've got to do, and yeah, hopefully that will work okay. Right, just got that back together. Just got to wait for that to go off, but once that stuff sets, cures, that won't be going anywhere. Yeah, that is good stuff. That's this stuff here. You can get it in black as well. But yeah, sticks like shit to a blanket, basically. Well, once that goes off, we'll be there. But I'm still undecided whether I will put foam around here, because obviously you've got a lot of surfaces you need to seal up. So So jury's out of whether I'm going to do that or whether I'm just going to put that in there and make a foam cylinder with the end, with an end on it. Probably going to need some kind of mesh. I've probably got some lying around somewhere. Some sort of support for it, and just go straight off there. That certainly would be a better seal than trying to seal up all the different edges on here. So if I did put foam on there, I'd really have to glue it on to make sure it's going to seal properly, you know, with some spray adhesive or something round, or even some more of that. But obviously then once it's on, that's on. That won't come off for cleaning or anything. So we'll have to see on that. I've ordered plenty of the filter foam, so it's cheap enough. Yeah, might just make a tube up first and see how that looks. And if that works, I'll then have to try and take that off, because obviously that's the mounting point there. Yeah, so I'll have to re-cut that off again. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So this is progress so far on the filter. I've just made a sort of framework really to get the filter material round, filter foam. So just had some of this aluminium mesh, just cut a piece of that and just formed it around this piece of drain pipe, which just happens to be the same size as the end of that rubber, and just got that on there with a piece of, this is self-amalgamating tape, this kind of stretchy rubber stuff which sort of sticks to itself, or is supposed to. Doesn't always stick that good. It's come away a little bit there, but once that's covered that wouldn't really matter. Anyway, that's just really to hold that mesh on there, because the whole thing is going to have the foam around it eventually once that turns up. Yeah, so I'll probably trim that back a little bit there. That bit is not sticking that well. You have to really stretch it to get it to stick. But that is fairly well on there. Yeah, and obviously fits inside there, and I'm just hoping that once I get the foam round I can still get the cover on, which goes like that. So that's the plan anyway. Yeah, it's 15mm thick, the foam. Probably should have got something slightly thinner because there's not a lot of room gap either end, but it is foam so it will squash, and this will squash down to a certain extent anyway. So yeah, hopefully that will work out okay. Right, so I've got the filter foam turned up. Got a big sheet. I've actually got two of these. Yeah, so this has got a fine inside and a coarse outside part. But what I first of all need to work out is how I can join the two ends together. So I'm just going to cut a piece for this, see what I've got left, and then cut some test pieces to try different glues, or let's see whether I can join it with heat, which I think would be the better way, because obviously the glue may be affected by the fumes, petrol fumes, whatever, might come unstuck. So yeah, a little bit trial and error to start with, so I'll cut a piece off and we'll go from there. Right, got a couple of test pieces here, so I think what we'll try first of all, some of this is contact adhesive, water resistant. Yeah, probably not petrol resistant. But this is probably not the best brand, but let's just try it anyway. I suppose you could use carpet glue, spray on glue would probably work. Right, let's give that a little bit time to go tacky. Then put it together and see how well it holds. We could have got a bit more in there. How long this takes to tack off. Doesn't go particularly tacky. I wonder if that might need a couple of coats, let that one dry and then put another coat on, because obviously all the cells are going to need filling. Let's just give that another coat and get a bit more in. Should be tacking up by now. I'll put those two halves together. Right, that needs 2 to 4 hours apparently to set or to cure. So I'm just going to have to leave that. Let's see what happens. I've just tried some of this floor spray adhesive, which I happen to have lying around from when I think that's from when I did my van carpet. Yeah, I've only sprayed this about, I don't know, 3 minutes ago, and that obviously cures a lot quicker, but it's much messier. Very difficult to spray just down the edge without getting overspray. But that, for speed, is, I think if you gave that a couple of more minutes, that would definitely stay in place. So I'll put that in there. Leave that a little bit longer, see how strong that is going to be compared to the other one. Heat is the other thing I want to try, but I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that, and how much this will melt back once you start applying heat. You obviously got to get two halves together pretty quickly. You don't want to melt it too much, because obviously you'll cut. This is the bit I've already cut to size, fit around there. So I've only got a certain amount of time and a certain amount of slack, although this is quite stretchy, you know, to try and get those together with heat might be difficult. But yeah, see if I can play around with some heat and see what happens. Right, heat wasn't wholly successful. I just got this blade here off a scraper, heated it up with a blowtorch. Yeah, too much heat, just melts it, sticks it fairly well. I mean, that will never come apart, but yeah, and not enough heat. Well, the thin stuff stuck okay, but that didn't at all, that side. So unless you've got a really controllable source of heat, I think that is out. It's going to have to be the glue, and yeah, just got to wait for that to cut rouse just to see if that is going to stick well enough to use, or which one will be the best one. I suppose the other alternative is you could just wrap it and cable tie it, but then it's kind of defeating where the cable ties are. It's going to be you know, not provide a lot of filtration because it's going to be squashed. Yeah, so just got to wait for this to set and see which one I'm going to go with. Right, well, both these test pieces have stuck really well, so whether you use the glue out of the tube, which is probably better but harder to get the actual seam done on. Doing it like that, it's okay sticking it like that way, and that one's obviously messier but easier when you're trying to do something on the round like that. Yeah, so what I've done is, while I've waited for that to go off, I've just put this tape round, so hopefully, it's masking tape, hopefully it isn't stuck to the seam too much. Just a little bit. Still a little bit tacky, so I did put plenty on at the end. A little bit more glue on this bit, looks like. Right. And also stuck this piece on the end here. It's actually quite hard to cast a circle in this stuff. Yeah, well, that seems to be on there anyway. I think what I might do is put a cable tie around there. But yeah, pretty sure that wouldn't fall off anyway. So that will fit in. Oops, wind up. That will fit in there like that. Will the lid go on? What do we do with that? So obviously this sticks up a little bit. Right, it goes on like that. it's a good fit. I think once that is, because there's a bolt goes through there, I think once that is squeezed and everything in place, that would be fine. Well, you could trim that down a bit. Either side. But yeah, I think that might work. And only time will tell to see if this glue holds up. You know, once you start getting some fumes and that going backwards. But yeah, in principle, yeah, seems to work. So I think if I can flatten, especially like this end here, just a little bit high. So I'll flatten some of that off a bit, probably both sides. I think that will squash down a bit more, so I get a bit more of a something like that. Yeah, so obviously that has got a little clip piece there. This end will have the bolt which goes right through from both sides. Yeah, I think that might work.